Hey there, this is Tia Scott, also known as Tia the Writer, and I'm here to talk a little about how to find really good interview questions when you're writing a Q&A article, or if you're interviewing someone for an article for a news publication, or maybe a campus paper, a podcast, a blog, whatever form of interview that you're pretty much conducting. I'm here to talk about how to find those really good, juicy questions. So let's get into it. Um, oh, and by the way, I'm a freelance writer, a professional freelance writer, and a news editor. I have over 15 years of writing and editing experience, so that's what I'm going to be speaking from in this video. So let's just get started. Um, when I have to interview someone, I normally just research. I do my research first before I even come up with those like initial questions that I'm going to ask during the interview. So I try to hit the W's, in the H, of course, the who, what, where, why, and when, and the how. And I usually start with going to the person who I'm going to interview. I go to their website. I try to get as much information as possible. And honestly, that's where I can hit the what, where, why, when questions. I can answer those and form my official questions with that information. So I'm going to go to their website and I'm going to check out, when they started their business. If they have a business, whatever they're doing, like when did you do this thing? How did you do it? Why did you do it? What made you do it? Like I'm trying to read through their information on their website to see what exactly, what made them do this thing, why, where, hit all of those W's and that H. Um, and just do my due diligence as a writer. You have to research your subject first so you don't end up asking them basic questions like, so who are you? What do you do? When did you start the business? And it's not fair to them because it's like you could have easily just went to their website, or just gathered more information about them, to have that on your end for the article already. You can go to their website and, read through their story. It's usually in the about section or the contact section of someone's or a business's website. And if you don't have any information, you can definitely ask the person you're interviewing these questions, but that shouldn't be your actual interview question. I hope that makes sense. Like you can ask the person before you jump into the article, not article, I'm sorry, before you jump into the interview with them, you can ask them those pre-questions like, okay, so what is it that you really do? And, what's the big seller at your business? Or when did you get started? You can ask these things, right, to gather information for your story. And then hop into the Q&A, the real Q&A with those juicy questions. So that's the way that I do it. I usually try to do the what, the where, the why, and all that on my end first, and then I can come up with the juicy questions after that. Okay, so the next thing that I do is if I want to really come up with some good questions and I'm stumped, like let's say I'm interviewing someone that I'm not really familiar with their field, so I don't really know what to ask them. Like let's say I'm interviewing a rocket scientist, and I'm honored to interview the rocket scientist. I don't know what I'm going to ask him. What I would do is look at other Q&As of rocket scientists, people who have talked to and interviewed rocket scientists. With this is just a quick Google search. Go to Google, type in Q&A interviews with the subject, the person that you're going to talk to. So I would type in Q&A interviews with rocket scientists. And so in general, like Google is going to give you a whole bunch of general articles about rocket scientists. It may not even be Q&A interviews. It may just be like how to become a rocket scientist. You don't need those articles. What you need to do is click on the tab that says news, usually up there where the images tab is at, the images and all that. Click on news and you're going to get a more refined search of articles that are basically Q&As with, a rocket scientist. So you're going to look at those questions, and you don't take those questions. Do not just copy paste like into your notes. Like, okay, that's a cool question for a rocket scientist. Let me take it word from word and use it in my interview. Please do not do that. That's plagiarism. Um, and just come up with your own, cool questions from there. But just use these questions as like reference points. Another thing that I honestly avoid is asking yes or no questions. Like questions that, that person could just be like yes or no to, like, hey, have you ever thought about expanding your business to another location? And if they say just no, you have nothing else to go off. Like that, yeah. And they can really just like, no, never thought about that. Nope, not at all. And you're just like, oh, I can't use that. So always kind of lead in with questions that will actually make that person want to talk and elaborate. Like, okay, so who are some of your influences? Or what inspired you to create this? Or um did you ever have a point in your journey to where you wanted to give up? Did you face any challenges? Now, see that last one. Did you face any challenges? The person would have said no, and you have no information. So, see how easy you can fall into that? I just did it. Okay, but seriously, you can ask, what were some of the challenges you faced when were making this business? That would make it a little bit more open ended to where they can elaborate. See, yeah. So stay on top of that. Avoid yes or no questions. Yeah. And also, this is just like some bonus information, just some tips for, as you prepare for your interview with your subject. Um, Ask the important questions, ask questions that really need answers, and that really still, like, always stick to the point of your story. Don't ever lose the point by asking questions that are, they may be amazing questions, but they may not be a part of the story. For example, if you're interviewing somebody who just opened a yoga studio in your community. And you read about them having all of these degrees, from, like, they have a business degree, they have like an art degree, they have things that, they have great accomplishments, but it has nothing to do with yoga, right? Um, don't ask them too much about their educational background, especially when it doesn't pertain to yoga, unless it's like you frame the question around, like, you have all of these certifications in these businesses, but you pivoted to yoga. What made you want to make that pivot? You can include that. But as an editor, I've had writers ask questions, that are great questions, but they don't really have anything to do with the with the story. They'll ask about educational background. They'll ask if that person has children. They'll ask if this person planned on going back to school or anything. And it's like, no, man, like, talk about the yoga studio. Like, let's, we're here to tell the story of the yoga studio and how that got started and what this person is doing to help it grow and, help community members or, whatever. But we're here to tell that story. We're here to interview the person about their yoga studio, not their past accomplishments or their roles as a parent, unless maybe that person incorporates being a parent into their business. Then that's when you can bring up, like, parenthood. But try to stay on topic as much as you can when coming up with those questions, so your story doesn't go all over the place and you have all of this, like, mismatched information, or this information that's not really actually cohesive with the story. It's just like random information. Just always stick to the point of the story, stay with it. Um, and that's all I have right now. Oh, also write your questions down. Keep those questions with you. I'd say that depending on what exactly you're writing, you could be writing for a news publication that requires you to ask like 20 questions or 5 questions. I know for the publication I work for, I ask my team of writers, to pretty much keep it like 6 to 7 interview questions when they interview people. Um, so yeah, always have at least 5 or 6 questions on tuck. Write them down in your notes on your phone or, like, piece of paper. Don't ever try to freestyle questions or remember them. You are a writer. Let's this right. Get those questions down. So you can just pretty much, keep the flow of the interview going. You're here to tell that story. I hope you got some value out of this video. Please, this is my first one. Wow, where I actually talk on screen. Um, I'm going to keep on making videos like this because I just want to like share the knowledge that I've accumulated throughout the years. Give me a like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. If you want to talk a little bit more about writing in the comments, I'm here, I'm looking. All right, peace.